Welcome back everyone to Legion Monthly for the second edition ever here in March 2024. My name is Ben. I'm the Senior Community Manager over here at Lenovo Legion, and this is everything you need to know that's happening in gaming in March as well as April for the next couple months, plus some things happening in Legion as well. First up, let's talk about Horizon Forbidden West, which is the PC port for the popular game finally coming. We had quite a few PC ports from Sony and PlayStation recently, and this is one of the more long-awaited ones we've seen in a while. Matt from our team played the original Horizon Zero Dawn. He said he's excited to see Sony continuing the trend of bringing their fantastic single-player games to PC. He played the first one on PC in widescreen and said it was a gorgeous experience with great gameplay. So we have no reason to expect anything less from the sequel, which should be a fun time. So take a look at that one coming out on March 21st on PC. We'll have to check that out on some of our Legion devices too, because it's a great showcase for graphic fidelity and what you can do in games these days. Next up on the cadence, we have Dragon's Dogma 2. This is what I'm personally very excited for. This comes out on March 22nd for all platforms, PC, Xbox, and PS5. In my opinion, this is potentially one of the biggest games of the year. A lot of people are saying it could be on the docket for Game of the Year, although it has the likes of Helldivers and Palworld at this point to contend with. But we'll see, because there's been a lot of hype and a lot of expectations for this game already. Dragon's Dogma 2 is an open world RPG that's been getting super positive feedback from early previews, and it seems like pretty much everyone has good things to say about the game. This kind of feels like the RPG that people can easily sink hundreds of hours into, so if that's up your alley, then this is for you, which is also perfect timing for those of us who may have just finally wrapped up Baldur's Gate 3, if you've managed to get that far. Just to note on this one, if you're into Dragon's Dogma 2, we may have an early look at this happening on the Legion Twitch and YouTube channels. So stick around if you'd like to see it a couple days early, or maybe check it out on Legion devices in particular. We'll definitely be covering that in the next week or so here. Going for a bit of a change of pace here, next up is Princess Peach Showtime, which is a Switch exclusive, which is also launching on March 22nd. So you can take your choice of the RPG, Dragon's Dogma 2, really get medieval, or, go in the direction of Princess Peach. Totally up to you. This game looks really charming, and honestly, it's about time that Peach got her own game, because the last one that we know of was Super Princess Peach on the Nintendo DS back in 2005. That's a long time without having a game of her own, considering she's been kidnapped in basically every Mario game since the first one in Mario Bros. In 1985. I know, not PC games, but still, you should know your history. Going for another bit of a genre change here, let's talk about South Park Snow Day. This one comes out on March 26th on pretty much all platforms, PC, Xbox, PlayStation 5, and Switch. This is the third game in this series, which has always done a really good job at feeling like you're playing through an episode of the show, with everything that comes along with that. The game is making a shift into the full 3D this time around as you explore a snow-covered South Park and your customized character they just call New Kid. If you're a fan of the show and the previous games, this one feels like something you just can't miss. Alright, that wraps it up for the new games that we want to talk about here in March 2024. Now let's get into some Legion updates, both for the product side as well as the community side, for things you might want to check out here in March and April. First up, we have to talk about updates to the ever-popular Legion Go. If you didn't know, we put out regular updates to the roadmap of what's going on with Legion Go on the community. So make sure you jump on there and check those out. Those come from Ben Myers, who, by the way, is not me. I'm Ben Green, the less cool Ben of the team here. But Ben Myers does a really good job of giving pretty much weekly updates on all the priorities that the team is having for Legion Go right now and what's really important, and just giving progress on updates as they're available. The most recent update as of the time of this recording was on March 13th, and in that post, Ben Myers shared some updates on the V31 beta BIOS, audio EQ improvements, VGA driver / AFMF, ongoing priorities including gyro, charge limiting, and more, and some hints on accessories in the works. So if any of those things interest you, make sure to check out the official blog post on the community and keep an eye out for more updates coming very regularly as well. Next up, you may not know this, but we recently did a community awards show, our first ever community awards show, which celebrated people in the Legion community as well as Lenovo EDU and also Pro. And there were quite a few winners here. You might recognize some familiar faces if you've been in our events, like Fidgetus. We have Jeffrey, Anti, Noah, even Ben Myers, our product manager, won an award. So shout out to all these winners who've put a lot of effort into the community. If you've not already joined the community, make sure you do, because you could have a shot at winning this award next year, which isn't just a badge. You get some actual rewards to use on Lenovo.com too. So go ahead and check that out when you have a chance. We've also been doing a lot of cool interviews with staff members from Lenovo, game developers, and other people in the gaming community space. So check those out if you haven't already. Recently, one that was one of my favorite is we talked to Jason, who is the head of VR here at Lenovo. And he had some really cool thoughts on the future of VR as an industry, as well as AI and how those kind of might play together in the future of gaming. So check that out in the description below if you have not already. And keep an eye out, because we have a lot of other cool interviews in the works. I have one with a game writer on some pretty big projects coming up, as well as some other Lenovo staff, and maybe even some developers from some big games we have just talked about recently. So keep an eye out, because those are in the works. All right, shifting gears a little bit here, let's shift back over to gaming updates. So this isn't going to be full new games necessarily, but more of refreshes and big updates to existing games that we think are worth talking about. First up, I have to talk about Apex Legends. This update hit a couple weeks ago at this point, so it's been out for a while, but Apex's recent update is one of the biggest updates they've had in a while to the game. You can now choose almost like a skill tree for each character to upgrade your abilities and your armor over the course of the game. I think it really adds a new level of refreshment to the game and makes it really interesting to see how it shakes up the meta. We're seeing a lot of picks that previously weren't so good, like Lifeline, now becoming more popular because of some of the perks that they have access to. So I think it's really fun to play and watch if you're in the pro scene. Highly recommend checking that out. That's one that we play a lot of in the community here, because we've worked a lot with Apex here at Legion in the past, and that probably won't be stopping anytime soon. Another big one that we absolutely have to talk about is the Elden Ring DLC, which has been teased for a while, but we now finally know that it is a June release date that will be coming out, and we'll finally get to return back to the lands between. They haven't released too much about the expansion, likely to stop from spoiling anything, but they're referring it to as an expansion, not DLC, which, combined with a hefty price tag, makes us hopeful that there will be a ton of content, and of course, new ways to die. And of course, there will be a poison swamp. I don't think any of us are surprised at this point, but the poison swamp is guaranteed to be in the expansion, so keep an eye out for that as well. Moving over to a bit of console news, but also still PC, we need to talk about Pentiment and Grounded coming to Switch, which were previously Xbox exclusives, but now are moving over to other consoles like Switch. Xbox made some pretty big waves this past month by confirming the rumors about releasing their games on other platforms. Xbox has confirmed that 4 games will be coming out on PlayStation 5. Grounded, Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, and Hi-Fi Rush, a personal favorite of mine, with the last 2 also coming to Nintendo Switch. It's a really interesting approach for Xbox, because while these are all great games and more people should definitely play them, it does kind of make you wonder, what would that mean for Xbox and Microsoft for the console side of things in the future? Sony has seen some success in releasing their first-party games on PC after a year or so delay. So there may be something to that, but this is the first time that we've seen cross-console in this way. So we will definitely be interested in seeing how this performs, and we'll keep an eye out and we'll keep you updated on what we end up seeing coming out of this. And next up, we have to talk about Helldivers 2. Now, this is one that I held off on getting for a while, and we touched on it last time in Legion Monthly. But honestly, at the time, I didn't really anticipate how big this game would get, and I finally did cave and get it myself. It's kind of been mind-blowing to see how big this game has gotten on PC and PlayStation, and now there's even a petition to bring it to Xbox at this point too, because the recruitment is needed, the forces are needed to help protect Super Earth. And if you've seen the discussion about this game, or if you've tried it yourself, you know the hype behind it and just how much it's taken over the gaming industry recently. Right after Palworld impressed us with their high concurrent player numbers last month, Helldivers 2 launched, and despite some server issues, hit a peak concurrent players count of over 400k on PC, which is wild. I think they were trying to keep the servers online and continuously add to them. It's wild to see both Palworld and Helldivers have this much success. The tone of this game is clearly inspired by the likes of Starship Troopers, and it makes it all the better for it because it's a lot of fun to play. There's a ton of jokes. The music's amazing. Honestly, I've loved playing it so far. If you guys are playing this in the community, please let me know what you think about it and how long you think it'll be sticking around. Do you think we should be playing more of this? Do you plan to play it for a while? Also, do you want to group up? Because I just got it and I'm looking for more people to play with. So definitely jump in the community if you want to check it out, play with us sometime. We'd love to see you there. Lastly, we had a couple of trailers come out for video game adaptations in film and movie that we should talk about. There was both the Borderlands trailer, which came out, as well as the Fallout TV series. Hollywood is taking on some of the biggest gaming franchises, and this month we got trailers for both of those. Borderlands will be coming on August 9th. And while some of the casting decisions seem a little off, it does seem to nail the tone and humor of the franchise. Also, Jack Black as Claptrap is brilliant. That man was born to play the comic relief robot. Fallout, on the other hand, is looking really good. We got a nice 3-minute trailer from it, and it really seemed to nail the tone. But we won't have to wait very long to see if it does actually deliver on the promise, because it's hitting Amazon Prime on April 12th. So keep an eye out for that coming very soon. So first up, I know, I've been judged for it many times. I am still playing League of Legends. That is my #1 most played game for about 10 years or so, and it probably won't change anytime soon. Honestly, there's not really been a big update or anything to the game. It's just that it is consistently the game that I can get the most people together to play in a 5-stack. And if you do play that game in a group, not with randoms, but a full group, it's pretty fun. Particularly, I like that in MOBAs, you can really see what your teammates do and really appreciate them. Whereas in FPS games, sometimes you can't really tell what your buddy who popped off actually did. You can really see in a MOBA from the top-down view. So I love that feeling, and it is really fun to grind and you know, as a 5-stack at least, try and compete. So I will probably keep playing that until the Riot MMO comes out for League at some point in 5, 10, 20, 30 years, whenever. Please, Riot, I need it now. Get me off of League so I can play this game. I think we're all waiting for that game to come eventually. But it's not all just League. I touched on Helldivers a little bit. Still loving that game when I got that a couple days ago. Apex, also I touched on earlier, is really good. I do really love the changes they made to the mastery system, where you can kind of change your skill tree over the course of the game. I like playing Ashe quite a bit, and her upgrades are really good. But that game is also similar to really any multiplayer game. Very fun to play in a group. And we can pretty consistently get 3 people when we're doing the Legion streams with Apex. We have a lot planned for this game coming up in the next month or so. So if you like watching streams of Apex, if you like playing Apex, if you like buying stuff in Apex, you might want to keep an eye out, because I can't give you all the details right now. We definitely have some things that are coming up here in the next month. So stay tuned on that, both on this series and on the community site. I think you'll be excited if you're an Apex player. One last one I want to mention too, actually, is Lethal Company. Lethal Company is an indie sort of spooky group co-op game that came out recently, very reminiscent of Among Us, but more spooky than that. This we've played recently on the Twitch channel with all Legion staff, which is very funny because the game was about being in a lethal company, and we were all actually in the same company playing the game. So made for some very funny moments. We even had an executive come on and play with us, a VP from North America, Carlo. And so if you want to see some executives from Lenovo get jump scared, I definitely recommend checking out the VOD there. But really, it's a great game to check out if you want a good co-op game to play with friends. Even if you're not the biggest fan of spooky stuff, it's an indie title, and we always love supporting indie titles here at Legion. So highly recommend checking that one out if you've not before. But it's not just me, it's not just what I'm playing, it's also others here. So let's hear from Dan, who is the UK community manager, on what he's been playing recently. So Dan has been playing Bone Razor Minions. He said, "This is a fiendishly fun auto-battler roguelite that I've spent way too much time playing. You play as a necromancer, fighting through hordes of enemies using ghouls, ghosties, and various other minions you can raise to fight by your side. The wide variety of units at your disposal, from standard Skelly minions to the Wildcard Bro and Supreme Diablo minions, means perfecting your ideal army is seriously good fun. There are several unique game modes, including a charming little card battler minigame, and it makes this a great value package at only $5 on Steam. There's also online leaderboards, weekly challenges, and ingenious in-game score modifiers, which gives Bone Razor Minions a great little competitive core, provided you're willing to dig for it, and perfect for your bone raising craft. If you enjoyed Vampire Survivors, this most certainly is a title you should check out." Thanks, Dan, for the input. Always love hearing on what you're playing, man. Let's also hear from Matt, who's the content strategist here over at Legion. He talked earlier in this segment about the Horizon series, but that's not always playing, and there's a pretty big new title that I think we should hear about, and he's pretty excited about. So Matt has been playing the new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which just came out on PlayStation, and here's what he had to say about it. And I won't butcher it because I love this quote. He said, quote, "Matt here with a fun Matt fact. The original Final Fantasy VII was the first Final Fantasy I ever played, and I actually played it on an old compact PC that crashed every time the game had a cutscene. Despite that, it was my favorite game growing up, and I loved every minute of the remake a few years ago. I'm about 20 hours into Rebirth, and it's the same blast of 90s nostalgia while still adding in some newer gameplay elements. Matt, I love that, and honestly, I think we all have that game that might have had some performance issues, but we still slogged through it and played it because it was worth it anyway. I know I do, so love hearing that. Thanks for your input. Next up, Kelly Smith, our own global community intern, aka Summer Plasma, has also been playing a game, and that is actually Cyberpunk, specifically the DLC Phantom Liberty that recently came out. So here's what she had to say. Kelly said, "It took me a really long time before I decided to give this game a chance, and I regret waiting as long as I did. I'm absolutely in love with all the characters and the stories each of them bring to the game. I can't say enough good things about the DLC Phantom Liberty alongside it. I haven't had a game make me emotional in as many ways as this has, and I always rant and rave about it to anyone who asks. For those who have had this game sitting on a back burner, that's me, for consideration, now is the time to enjoy it, and don't forget to get Phantom Liberty too." Honestly, the way she describes it is pretty convincing, and I'm definitely someone who bought the game and played a chunk of it and didn't play the update, so Kelly, I might have to check that out. It's a big game, but yeah, you're kind of selling me on getting back into it, honestly. Brian Leo is our gaming and student web merchandiser for North America, and he has been playing both Helldivers 2 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, just like everyone else, right? Brian said, "Helldivers is one of those games that just grabs you from the jump. The opening cutscenes have me cackling, and once through the brief training, it's been near 50 hours of the glorious spreading of democracy, as well as tons of laughs with friends. I'm just getting started into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but my heart already swells at the familiar tunes and open world freedom." Thanks, Brian. Next up, we have Mark Hubbard, who's the North America Gaming Product Manager, who sends us all the cool laptops that we check out on stream. Thanks, Mark. He's playing Mega Man Battle Network 3 Blue. He said, "I was so stoked when I saw this as a remaster in the Steam Marketplace. This was one of my favorite games to play while growing up with kids in the neighborhood, so I'm excited to be reliving my youth on the Legion Go. It'll always be a classic game to me, and I really love the combat system." Lastly, we had Charles Morse, who's a senior web production specialist here at Lenovo. He's been playing Call of Duty Warzone 3. Here's what Charles had to say. "I've been a COD loyalist since the very first one on PC in 2003. I had to play it on the lowest performance settings because my family PC was throttled to the ground by endless LimeWire downloads. But now, I grind on PS5 and don't download viruses in disguise as unreleased M&M freestyles. I've always loved the pace and feel of the COD franchise over other FPS games, and their jump into the Battle Royale format provided my hometown friends and army buddies a way to stay in touch, especially since the pandemic. I stick to Resurgence mode for the most part because people play ratty on the big map. The pace for Resurgence is old school TDM, but with more strategy involved. However, I have my eyes set on Helldivers 2 as my next alternate go-to." Thanks, Charles. Seems like Helldivers 2 is pretty popular, guys. I might have to get a group going internally, so I'll be in contact for that. One last one, actually. We also have Chris Piazza, who's the Senior Global Product Marketing Lead for Lenovo Gaming and Legion. Unsurprisingly, Chris is playing Helldivers 2, and here's what he had to say. He said, "I've been diving with Justin Alters from our global communications team since launch, with the occasional add of Sergey Balashov, a MIA product manager, to our squad. What I'm loving about the game so far is how each member can play to their favorite style. I'm more of a sniper rifle guy, and how absurdly chaotic it can be. Every death is iconic and worthy of the highlight reel, so we keep coming back for more. Helldivers is taking over, guys. I told you, even here at Legion, here at Lenovo, internally, it's the one to play." All right, so that's what we've been playing. That's all the news updates. Lastly, let's get to everyone's favorite part, the giveaways. And there's some pretty cool updates to talk about this month if you're looking for Legion giveaways or for maybe some game giveaways happening. So let's get into that as well. Firstly, if you're in North America or Canada this month, that's the big addition. You can finally enter to win another Legion Go. And there's a bunch of these up for grabs, actually. We have our normal monthly sweepstakes, which you can just enter in every day by being in the community. We have a couple more that we're saving for some special events as well. Keep an eye out for something happening with Apex and a Twitch streamer by the name of We the People. Probably happening about the last week of March or so. Still in the works a little bit here, but very excited for that. And possibly one more giveaway again at the last minute in March. Probably like 3 or 4 total up for grabs here. So keep an eye out for that and join the community if you're in North America. But if you're outside North America, we have stuff for you as well. If you're over in the UK, we have a monitor giveaway that's up for grabs right now. This one is the Y2530. That's for both UK and EMEA actually, whether you're in EU or UK. This is actually one of the top reviewed monitors from Rock Paper Shotgun. I've personally tried this monitor and it works really well if you need some high refresh rate with 240 Hertz, as well as a clear 1080p display. So check that out if you're over in UK or Europe for the March giveaway. And if you're not North America or Europe, don't worry, I know, I hear you. We have some stuff coming for you as well. We have a couple of global giveaways coming for in-game items starting, again, probably the last week of March, maybe a little sooner if we're able to get some stuff pushed through. One of those is going to be for Apex, and one of those is going to be for a game I can't quite tell you about yet, but that one will also have a laptop giveaway involved, and that's going to be open to a lot of countries. So stay tuned on that. By the time this video goes out, it may be live. You can always check on the community as well as Legion social media for some news on that. But very excited for these. These are very big giveaways we're working a long time for, and we want everyone globally to be able to access these in particular. So stay tuned for that, guys. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Legion Monthly, everyone. Thank you for watching the second ever March 2024 edition. As always, please let me know below if you have any feedback on the series. It's still very new, still very iterative, so please let us know which segments were your favorite. Were any of them too long, too short? What do you want to see more of, basically? If you watched this far in the video, as always, our little new thing, leave a comment below taco, and then only you and I will know why everyone's commenting taco in the comments if you made it that far. So that's our little code word for this month. And as always, please don't forget to jump into the Legion gaming community. We have new stuff happening every week, new wallpapers, new giveaways, new discussions, and it's kind of the hub for all things Legion and gaming to discuss. So I'm in there every single day doing live streams, having discussions with members. We'd love to see you guys in there if you're not already in there. And if you are, come back in and we'd love to talk to you some more. So thanks for watching. I'm Ben, and I'll see you next time.